Hello everyone, that's Jorge Arteiro here. I'm from Melbourne and I'm trying to record something different here. I had to refresh my laptop and I have a fresh copy of Windows. That's the latest Windows 10 Pro, and that's a Windows Insider. That's just the latest Windows Insider released 2 days ago, and I have to install everything, and I said why not create this video and try to show how quickly you can set up your environment. And I create some step-by-step here things that we can do it together. And I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I'm a Azure MVP, and I'm application DevOps for Kubernetes at the moment. And what I did here, and if you want to see things that I'm doing, I have my website in construction. I have some slides on SlideShare. Like my last talk last week was about Kubernetes service, Azure Kubernetes service. And let's try follow those steps and see how we go. The first thing, normally, what I got a fresh computer, and is because I have Microsoft MSDN subscription, and with Office 365 I just want to install, and I think that's the first thing. Let's install, make sure that you have Office 365, and if you go on my account, Office 365, I can just go here, install desktop applications, and then you can just select the language and install from here. That's pretty quick. Then you go in your Windows and you see that you have Office 365 installed. If you go here, Word, it's there, you can open. That's all beautiful, running. A good thing for Windows 10 is you make sure that you have your account set. Then that's why I have to log in your account. If you sign in with Microsoft account, then you pretty much connect your OneDrive device here. Then I have my OneDrive connected, and I have my Office 365 installed. That's the first thing I do. Then I like the new Edge browser from Microsoft, but I also install Google Chrome. That's important for development. I'm a developer as well, DevOps, and I want to make sure that I have Google Chrome. Then normally, if you search install Google Chrome, you're going to come here and just download and install. That's pretty quick to be done. Another thing is, if you want to Google as your search engine, just when you open the Google the first time, you say yes, and you're pretty much going to be Google from there. That's one thing can be done. The next is that's one nice thing on Windows and many Mac developers. And if you are Mac or someone that has to work with Windows or moving to Windows 10, Windows has mode desktop as well. If you go Windows key tab, or just click on this icon here, you can create a new desktop, and you can just move. You can move your, let's say, move Windows Store or Google Chrome. Let's say I have Google Chrome already installed and open here. I can move to different screens, and then you can quickly move between desktops, the same way that you have it in your Mac. And that's there for a long time, but some people don't know, and you have to make sure that you just do that. If the Windows key tab, you can select, you can click here, or you can do Control Windows key and do left and right arrows, and you can navigate. That's a shortcut. Okay, that's a very nice thing. That's Windows key and tab, or navigation, Control Windows key, arrow keys left and right. That's something very nice to be used to, and then you can have these multiple environments, and very handy for developers as well. Another thing for developing, we want to make sure that we have Windows Professional Edition. I have already set my Professional Edition. But how I do that? You just go in Settings, and you have to go in Activation. Sorry, you go in Update Security, Activation, and you can see if you have Windows Pro. And if not, you can select, buy a product key, or if you have a MS-10 subscription, you can go for a button that has show like Windows Store. And if you are connected on Windows Store, you'll be pretty much getting the key from there. And set for developers, I normally set development modes because I want to be flexible to play with any technology. And if you set development mode, Windows give you more trust when you develop some kind of applications, like Windows Universal Application. I'm already part of the Windows Insider program, and if you are not, I recommend you to do. I'm on the fast ring, but you can go slow ring if you want. And I think it's something very handy. I was updated with the latest, and you can participate and help the Windows Insider program as well. And yeah, that's development mode, something that's nice to do it. And once you have Windows Professional, I did that already. You have to restart the computer once you do it. You have to also enable containers, Hyper-V, and Windows Subsystem for Linux. That's my recommendation. That's Windows Containers. That's Hyper-V for virtualization. That's the native virtualization that have out of the box Windows 10 Professional Edition Plus, or like Enterprise from Professional Edition. And Windows Subsystem for Linux, that's the native Linux running on Windows in parallel, sharing the same namespace, storage, the same localhost, the same IP, and it's pretty much have Linux running together with your Windows. That's very important. How we do that? If you type here features, you can see turn Windows features on and off. If open everything here, you're going to see three features: containers, Hyper-V, okay, and you can see at the bottom Windows Subsystem for Linux. If you enable all three, we have to restart, we have to reboot. I'm going to reboot, and we're going to come back soon. There we go, we're back here. We just finished installing Hyper-V. Let's check Hyper-V. Yeah, Hyper-V managed there. Now should be able to create virtual machines. Windows containers is enabled, but we still have to install Docker for Windows, and we still have to install Windows Subsystem for Linux. We enabled the feature, but we still have to install. And now we can even install Windows Subsystem for Linux on Windows Server as well. But how we install? Go on Windows Store, and you just type Linux, and I say run Linux on Windows. We have more than one option of Linux distros. I have Ubuntu, OpenSUSE, and Enterprise OpenSUSE. I normally pick like canonical Ubuntu and install from here. I already did that before on another computer, then I have just to reinstall on this one because I have my profile. Once we launch, takes few minutes to install. That's a full Linux using mode from Canonical. It's not like a new distro for Microsoft. And there is no kernel, Linux kernel. It's like an interpretation or translation of commands from native Linux to Windows kernel. And for, Ubuntu, he thinks that's talking with Linux kernel, but they talking with Windows kernel. It's a very interesting project, and now we can have multiple Linux distros running in parallel with Windows. They share the same network, the same like localhost storage, and there's a lot of things that you pretty much having multiple operating systems running in parallel and together. That's going to take some time. We can check the next step here where we have to install Docker for Windows as well. I have downloaded some of those things. If we go for downloads, I'm going to install, because I'm using Windows Inside the latest version. I don't want to go on Docker for Windows, like Docker Community Edition for Windows. Here we can download like what they call Docker CE Community Edition for Windows. You can get this stable version. I'm going to get one version before that, but you should be safe to download from here. Or if you want to go for the Edge version, should be fine as well. I'm going to install the 1709 for now. That's the compatible with the version of Windows Insider that I'm using. But if you be using the normal Windows, should be fine. Sometimes he asks you to log out and log in again. Probably not asking now, because I tried to install the latest version before here and failed. But otherwise you just log out and log in again and you should be safe. That's what they call install Docker for Windows. Just skip one step here. We are doing that installation already. Let's go back for the we have Ubuntu now. We have just to create one username, be my name, George, like a password. You type again the password, and then you are inside Linux. You pretty much have your Linux running here now. Okay, that's done. We can play with that later. Now I want to install developing tools. In Microsoft, we have what they call myvisualstudio.com. You should be able to create a subscription for Visual Studio Dev Essentials. That's free. There's no charge for that. And here we can, from here you can install things like Visual Studio Code, Visual Studio Community Edition. Like if you click Community Edition, you should be able to download here for free. And if you click Visual Studio Code, you can go and pick like Windows version or Mac or whatever. Because we're installing on Windows, I just downloaded from here. And you should be able to, what they call VS Preview on visualstudio.com. You should get like a preview of like a Windows Insider. You have Visual Studio Preview, where you can get the Edge version of Visual Studio. Sometimes handy. You always can have access to what Microsoft is developing at the moment, and I recommend you download that as well. What I did, I downloaded that before, Visual Studio Code. Let's install that. And it's very simple. You just go next. I like to select these items to have icons and to have integration with Windows Explorer as well, and just install. Then we should be safe here. If you want to create an Azure subscription on the same myvisualstudio.com, you have this option. If you activate it, you can get $200 for 12 months to spend for free. If you have a subscription already, like I have, then you can skip that. That's where you're going to play and use, you know, public cloud. Another option, you have to install Visual Studio. See, Visual Studio Code is different from Visual Studio. What we just did install was Visual Studio Code. That's like an open source IDE from Microsoft that runs in Linux, Mac as well. Then you can have same experience across your team. If you have some developers using Windows, some developers using Mac or Linux, they all can be using the same IDE. And you have like millions of users for Visual Studio Code already. If you want to go for full Visual Studio, you can, you know, let's install the Community Edition first. That's free. There's a lot of people, you know, using for open source projects. But because Visual Studio Code became so popular and so many extensions, maybe you don't even need the full Visual Studio anymore. By still having, you know, like more advanced features. And that's going to run here. In the meantime, what you can do is you can make sure that you have, you know, Visual Studio Code. Let's say go here, plugins. That's Visual Studio Code plugins. You have like a bunch of plugins, and yeah, let's get from the list, install a few here. We can install integration. You can get Azure CLI, Azure CLI tools. We can get C# debugger. If you're going to develop in C#, if you're going to develop in Go, and for myself and pretty much everyone using Docker now, you should install Docker and Kubernetes. It's the Docker orchestrate. Yes, Helm as well, YAML, all these things, you know, Microsoft debugging. If you're going to do web development with Angular or React, should be able to get some snippets. TypeScript for normal one, should be able to get HTML plugins, HTML5 snippets, and nice to have Python as well. If you reload, you're going to reload Visual Studio. Go back for the Community Edition that we start installing from Visual Studio. That's the full one here. Okay, now we have a different way to install Visual Studio, the full one. You can pick just what you want. If you're not going to do desktop development and you can go just for web development, you can just click here. Python is a nice to have. Azure development, Node.js. Let's not do mobile development at the moment. Linux development, .NET Core, Visual Studio extensions, and you can customize each item that you want. Let's keep this standard, and you can go for individual components that you want to install. Let's go for 7.1, for example. I think that's good to have 7.1 installed, and native as well. Language pack, you can have multiple language pack and just bang. That's going to take some time, and you can just leave installing here in background. If you don't have yet, you're going to play with Docker. We need you need Docker Hub account. You can also type here Docker now and Docker for Windows Desktop. You're going to have an option to, Docker is starting now. It's offering for us to go for the latest version. I'm going to skip. Okay, we should have Docker starting. If you right click, here and go in settings, you can see Docker is starting. Now it's ready. And you see that you have now some settings that it can be done, like you can share your C drive and apply that to allow access from Docker to your C drive. Docker is running in. You can change CPU in memory. Why CPU in memory? Because Docker, that's what they call Linux containers, is running inside Hyper-V. When you install Docker, Docker create a VM called Mobile Linux VM. That's why your Docker is running. And you can set that VM. At the moment I'm setting two cores and 2 gig. I have some memory and CPU to spend here. Just show my machine. You can compare with yours, like I have 8 cores. Make sure that, look, to install Docker and Hyper-V, you have to be virtualization enabled here. If for some reason your installation fails for Hyper-V or for Docker, it's maybe because you don't have virtualization enabled. You have to reboot the computer, go inside your BIOS and enable virtualization on the hardware, on the machine itself. And I have 16 gig memory. But I tell you what, 8 gig should be enough to run Docker, but 18 you can do more advanced things. Run multiple containers in parallel. Okay, but you can change that. There's some other configuration that I'm not going to discuss here, but what you have now, you have Docker running. There's one setting missing. That's a very important one, and if you don't do that, it's not going to work from Windows Subsystem for Linux. It's going to work from command line, like here. If you go here and say Docker, Docker is there. Docker image. See, there's just one, default one. But if you want to enable that to work from Windows Subsystem for Linux, you have to expose without TLS. I know that's not very safe, but it should be safe for your local environment. Okay, I got the command here. If you type, just add this inside your bash.rc file. That's your configuration. You should be able to, after that, Docker is currently not installed. Come on. Okay. We have to also install Docker, because what happens is, when you install Docker on Windows, you have Docker here. You have Docker on Windows Command Shell. But remember that Windows Subsystem for Linux, we are inside Linux. If you do sudo apt get install docker.io, type your password, and you have to probably run update first. And that's like a normal Linux. You're going to install Docker client, because Docker is what they call Docker client, just like CLI commands, and have Docker engine or daemon that's running on Windows. Okay, that's why they call Docker for Windows, installed on Windows. We're just going to use Windows Subsystem for Linux just as a Docker client. That's why I have to install just a Docker client. If you don't know how to install, you can just say, you should be able to see how to install Docker CE and how to install that on Ubuntu. And that's how you should follow those steps. That's exactly what I'm doing. We can run this command. I'm just doing an update. Probably going to accelerate that a little bit later. And like if you want to do Ctrl C or Ctrl V, just use the mouse, right click. You can paste inside the Windows Subsystem for Linux like you're doing in normal Linux environments. So we share the same internet, the same connection, the same network here. We don't have to configure anything when you install. And we have a C drive mapped inside my Linux as well. It's mounted, your C drive, Windows C drive is mounted inside /mnt/C drive, C, inside your Linux. Very handy to get some files and share across between Linux and your Windows. It's probably going to take some time. We can be falling at that's done there. We can install the keys. We can check that. Okay. We have to add like that's Linux. We have to add the Docker repository. Let's do this table one. And now we should be able to update that repository that we just set. Make sure that you know all the package, the latest package from this repository. And you should be able to install now Docker C, not Docker.io. Say yes. But don't try to yourself, just follow these steps, step by step here, and you should be safe. If you install specific versions, you can do that as well. Just the Docker client for me, don't have problem to get the latest version. My only problem was with the Docker engine when I installed Docker for Windows, that I wanted a specific version for my Windows inside the builder. Okay, Docker image, yeah, there you go. Now I have Windows Subsystem for Linux connecting your Docker engine that's running here on Windows. Not really on Windows, it's running inside Hyper-V, though he's like a more Linux VM. That's very lightweight VM. Okay. When you install Docker on Windows, you can do what they call switch to Windows containers, Linux containers. If you switch to Windows containers, still working from here. If you do now Docker image, now inside Linux container or Windows containers. Okay, it's like I have two different like Docker engines, one for Windows containers and another for Linux containers running inside the Hyper-V. For the checklist and see what we have done so far. Yeah, we have the full Windows Subsystem for Linux. But look, I have Docker Hub account. If you don't have it, you have to create one. But at the moment I can come here and sign in with my account. Say if you don't have a Docker ID, you have to click here and you should be able to create your account. Okay, just create a Docker Hub account. And yep, I'm just going to quickly log in if I remember my password. Yep, there you go. Same here. I can show you. You can log in on the application, and you can log in yourself on the browser. And there's pretty much a storage for your Docker images. That's pretty much the templates of your containers. The nice thing when you log in here is because you can see all your repos from here. And we have this account, that's my account. And you can have Docker Hub. Okay, they give you access to Docker Cloud as well. You can play. It's a management platform for Docker. Not going in details on that at the moment. Look, you probably have a GitHub account. If you don't have it, please create one GitHub account. We pretty much get in there. I like to install like another shell for Windows. You know, that's the one. It's very nice to have, very lightweight. A little bit better than a normal command shell for Windows. And I recommend you install that. I think it's very simple installation, just crop. What I want to do is install this on my Windows subsystem for Linux. Okay, if you want to do for Windows, it's very straightforward. Looks like some problem with Microsoft download. Very interesting. Then you're going to be able to install Azure CLI. A nice one to manage storage on Azure, and I also recommend you install that. See, download that for Windows. Let's go and install in the meantime. Install the Azure CLI. And Azure storage. Very nice tools to have installed. And yeah, I recommend you play with Azure Cloud Shell. It's a shell for Azure on the browser. You can do from the Azure portal, you can do directly here. shell.azure.com. And look this, you have a bash. Like if you don't want to configure your Windows subsystem for Linux, you're going to work with Azure, you can just go directly on this one. And the nice thing is they're going to give you like a container, that's like a container running inside your browser, connected with Azure, with your Azure. If you say Azure VM list, you should get all the VMs that you have. It means that I'm connected on Azure. That's really amazing to have. And you can have PowerShell here as well. We're going to restart using PowerShell. Now you can have PowerShell and Bash running on the browser. Okay, Helm and Draft is you're going to work with Kubernetes on Azure, then you go for Helm and Draft. Maybe I go for Kubernetes in another video, and we can go more deep in Kubernetes knowledge. Thank you for watching. See you next time.